I'm thinking I'm back.
Yeah, it looks like I'm back. And while I was gone, it looks like Hasbro unleashed Plastic Apocalypse. The world of window packaging as we know it seems to be over. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt, often called Big Nerdy. We are the NWO, the Nerd World Order, and this is Nerdzoic. If this is our first time meeting, hello, welcome to Nerdzoic. This is not the normal setup. Ask anybody, they'll tell you. We had a studio, we had a store, then it flooded, very sad, not so nice. But now, this is my living room, and the store and the studio is being rebuilt downstairs. So, audio quality, meh. Video quality, meh. So bear with us, but hey, we got videos, because we got stuff to talk about. So right before my flood-induced hiatus, Hasbro showed the Spider-Man figures, which were the first figures to be shown off without the plastic window. And the internet predictably went insane. Now, in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know why, they're doing this to reduce their plastic footprint. So the whole idea here is no windows, less plastic ending up in a landfill. So is this a publicity stunt or a responsible planetary stewardship by Hasbro? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I'm certainly skeptical. Past that, I'm not going to talk anymore about whether I think Hasbro's intentions are genuine or not, because it doesn't really matter. Instead, I'm going to focus on the fallout of the decision here. And I have been pretty quiet about this, but I actually have quite a bit of feelings on this, so let me explain.
No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
There's a lot of bad things that can happen because of this. Number one, this could become swapper's paradise. So we already had a pretty bad swapping problem going on, where people will go into stores, buy a figure, take it home, and swap it out with something crappy and then return it because the Walmart employees aren't nerds, so they don't know any better. These figures are going to have some kind of a security tape to prevent that from happening. Color me skeptical, this could be a swapper's paradise. I don't think we'll ever see this become an issue at places like Dorkside, Big Bad Toy Store, Nerdzoic Toy Store.
Branding.
But I do think that sometime eventually we're going to see some kind of a swap issue going on at a place like an Amazon or a Walmart, an online retailer. And when that happens, all hell's going to break loose online. Another issue here is that the pickier collectors are not going to be able to check paint apps before they make a purchase. A lot of collectors actually want to hold a figure in their hand, or at least a package of it, and look at the face paint before they make a purchase, because the paint app is not always super consistent from figure to figure. Now, in all fairness, over the last few years, Hasbro has closed the gap on quality quite a bit, but there is still the occasional miss. Part 3 of the bad here is this could be like a death blow to MidOnCard collecting. Because who the hell wants to collect a box where you can't see the figure? I have been a MidOnCard collector more than anything else, but if I can't see the figure, like the window packages behind me, I don't collect it. I actually just sold off a large portion of my Power and the Force and Saga collection of vehicles that I don't want anymore because I don't want to open them. Like, I already have one AT-AT, I don't need two AT-ATs opened, and I don't want a box of an AT-AT. It just doesn't make any sense to me, so I sold them off. Slave 1, same deal. I just sold off like 3 different Slave 1s because I'm like, I got one mint Slave 1, one open Slave 1, I don't need any more Slave 1s.
I have 3 of each. 1 to display, 1 to open, and 1 just in case.
This could potentially also hurt sales too, because there's a lot of people still who buy 2 of certain figures, 1 to open, 1 to keep in package. And it's not about money, people just like having their toys in the package. I get it, I'm part of that crowd. Last year's Cantina set with Ben Kenobi and Ponta Baba and Dr. Evazan is a perfect example of it. That was one of my favorite sets to come out in years. Does this no window packaging mean we're not going to get cool sets like that anymore? Because if it does, I'm not happy. And I heard a lot of people talk about quitting collecting because of this. I don't know how many people are actually following through on it. I can tell you that the first wave of figures that came out with this was the Spider-Man figures a few months back, and yeah, it doesn't look like anybody quit based on my sales, but hey, I don't know for sure. Now let's look at some of the good things to come out of this. One is increased e-tailer sales, as in online retailers. Dorkside Toys, Big Bad Toy Store, Nerdzoic.
Branding.
Yes, I think it's actually good for us because I think that people are going to continue to have less trust buying from big box. They don't know what they're getting in the little mystery box at Walmart. They can get one from us. And also it's good for the environment, I'm told. I don't know, not a scientist, but hey, I mean, I'm going to have to take Hasbro's word at face value here. So where do we go from here? That's a great question. And I got to tell you, I think that Hasbro needs to make some compromises. So Hasbro, if you're watching this, first off, it seems like you're doing this for all the right reasons, so kudos for that. But we need to come up with some kind of a compromise here. We can't just go cold turkey on no plastic, man. What about the vintage collection, right? What about box sets like battle packs? We still need to have those. But how are you gonna do it? I know that's what you're thinking. Big Nerdy's got you covered. I got a plan here. What if there was a stamp somewhere on this plastic, like an imprint, not an ink stamp, like an imprint, kind of like the recycling stamp that's right down here, that was actually for points, and all of the plastic was worth points. And us collectors who open the stuff, instead of sending it to a landfill, could send a little plastic clamshell, just a plastic clamshell, back to Hasbro on us, and you could use it again and again. Now think about it, guys. I just solved a huge problem for you. Yes, I know, you're welcome. But couldn't this solve everything if we just reuse the same plastic shells over and over and over again? I feel like that's the best of everything. We help the environment, we help the MidOnCard collectors, Big Nerdy's happy, everybody's happy. Now, if Hasbro does not heed the call here and help us in some way make a compromise, what are we gonna do? Well, we can't quit collecting because we're toy nerds and toy nerds are gonna collect. So that's not an option. But I think that you gotta make sure Hasbro understands how you feel. That doesn't mean sending random mean things in live streams. I don't think they look at that. Instead, write some letters to your Hasbro peeps. Write a letter to Disney and Lucasfilm. They're the ones who pull the strings after all. Because I think if they understand that we really need to figure out a way to make this work, they'll figure out a way to make this work and help the environment at the same time. Now let's say Hasbro says, no, we're going to continue doing this just like it started. It's happening whether you like it or not. Then I think rather than quitting collecting, some of us have to rethink how we collect. I think you have to look at taking up some of the collecting sub-hobbies, like the amazing hobbies of photography and diorama building. That's a way that you can get your enjoyment of the figures that you weren't getting before. Like, you're not going to get that awesome display you used to have. You got to find a different way to enjoy your toys. Which means, yeah, you probably got to switch to opening, because, I mean, who wants to keep just a box, right? But if you do, like, if you're, like, intent on keeping that box, maybe you need to switch to grading. Send these boxes, which do look cool. Those Amazing Spider-Man boxes, they look pretty awesome. The Book of Boba Fett vintage collection figure, he was pretty awesome. Send them in to whoever it is. I think it's AFA, Action Figure, so someone, whoever it is, I'll put it on the screen. These guys grade toys. Send it to them. They send it back in this cool looking clamshell with a grade. I don't know much about toy grading, so I'm not going to pretend to, but hey, it's a nice way to display it if you can't have the clamshell. It's a decent alternative. Another way of switching up your collecting is to spend more time with the source material. So for example, with all the new Spider-Man figures coming out for the 60th anniversary, maybe you need to go back and read some Spider-Man comics, and maybe you've never actually read any Spider-Man comics and you're jumping in, and that's frustrating. Like, wow, where the hell do I jump in? I'm going to show you where here. This is how you start reading Spider-Man comics. And remember, you gotta get old, but you don't have to grow up. Just be cool and stay nerdy. Later.